as soon as I hopped down, he got the swinging. You feel me? He got the swinging, and this space is so small. It was little room for me to move or anything like that. But I ended up ducking a couple of them, and I threw a couple of them, and we were just going at it. I ain't gonna lie, we probably look like some chicken heads in there. We probably look like some women in there fighting. You feel me? Because it seemed like wasn't nobody hitting. You know everybody. You know my whole family.
The whole team.
God.
100.
100.
Double salute. Wildlife 100.
Wildlife 100.
I've been in the trap every day, I don't get much sleep.
Wildlife 100.
Something so real, so real, you can feel it in your knees. I need something like you, do you need someone like me?
What's moving, everybody? Hey man, you already know what's going on. I'm back again with another crazy story. This time we got when my best friend sent me to jail for the unthinkable Part 9. Y'all asked for it, so I'm just here to deliver. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna waste too much of y'all time. We finna jump straight into it. Now, just a little recap of the last video, Part 8. I got locked up. I went to 7 Northwest. I'm in a cell with this guy that I ain't even talking to. He ain't talking to me. Come to find out, he just so end up being the biggest blood in the cell, bro. In the jail. You know what I'm saying? Or at least that flow. Because he was getting kites and all from the other bloods, you know, from the other pods and stuff like that. A younger blood ended up getting kited into our pod. And if y'all don't know what kiting is, that basically means getting sent to our pod, whether by force or by him just leaving voluntarily wherever he was at. He ended up getting sent to our pod, and my cellmate ended up calling the green light on him. You know, basically getting him hit, you know, getting him beat real bad, and they beat that boy for a couple times, you know, until he decided to leave himself or until they got him up out of there, you know. So fast forward to where we left off at. After all of that, I ended up talking to him like, hey, what's going on in here? What you got going on? Like, what is this? You know, because I'm trying to figure out where I'm at, what's going on. I'm trying to figure out how I can get in or how I can stay out the business, you know, because at this point, this is my cellmate. He got so much going on that I'm not even necessarily privy to it, that I ended up finding out later, because he ended up getting a cell phone and everything, but that's later on down the line. But he into so much, I just had to figure something out. You know, I had to just go ahead and crack that silence and talk to him. So like I told y'all, we ended up chopping it up, and he ended up giving me the whole breakdown. And those of y'all who are not familiar with getting locked up or being in jail in general, when you're locked up, you usually try to become companions with your cellmate, because y'all gotta be in a cell with each other most of the time. Morning, noon, and night, y'all gotta be in that cell together, you know. And after every day, y'all gotta go back to the same cell, like y'all staying together, you know. That's what it is. And the cell ain't nothing but this big. For real. You gotta share a bathroom. You got to share a bunk bed. You got to share a window. You got to share a door. You got to share everything. So your best bet is to be the companion of your cellmate. And if y'all hear any kind of squeaking or anything like that, my puppy just had puppy. She dropped a 10 yesterday. You feel me? So they down there trying to get some milk or something. You know what I mean? But look, so I end up cracking the silence, and he gave me the whole rundown. Now fast forward a couple days after we, you know, talking and you know, just getting cool or whatever, he asked me, could I fight? And I told him, I'm like, I do well. You know, I wasn't trying to just go too hard or be too cocky, you know, because at the end of the day, I felt like, yeah, I could fight a little bit. You know, I ain't just no professional or nothing like that. I ain't never lost before. Maybe once or half a time. You know what I'm saying? It might have been a tie once before. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, I do well. So he like, all right, hop down. Let's see. So I'm like, all right, bet. We in jail. And the last thing I want to look like is a punk or like I'm scared or anything like that. Especially now knowing that this guy run the bloods in this pod and possibly in the entire jail. You know? So I hop down, bro. As soon as I hop down, he got the swinging. You feel me? He got the swinging. And this space is so small, it was little room for me to move or anything like that. But I ended up ducking a couple of them, and I threw a couple of them, and we were just going at it. I ain't gonna lie, we probably look like some chicken heads in there. We probably look like some women in there fighting. You feel me? Because it seemed like when nobody hitting. He didn't hit me a bunch of times, and I ain't hit him a bunch of times, right? Oh, and mind you, we slap boxing. You feel me? As soon as I jumped down, he said, let's just slap box, cause he didn't want to hurt me and well, he claimed he didn't want to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, bet. I ain't finna argue with you. You know what I'm saying? Let's slap box then. It is what it is. I rather slap box than fist. Cause I ain't trying to walk up out of here bloody or eye black or whatever the case. I hop down and we just get the squabbling, fool. We ain't even really squabbling cause ain't nothing hitting nobody. You feel me? But he ended up throwing one. I ended up ducking it and caught him one good time, fool. I promise you. Caught him one good time, harder than I was even trying to catch him, And he held his face, and he was like, all right, bet, you good. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, I know I'm good, fool. You know what I'm saying? What you mean I'm good, nigga? You know what I'm saying? On everything. I ain't say that, but I was feeling that. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, yeah, bro, I hit you. You ain't hit me. You know what I'm saying? So after that, it was smooth sailing with me and him. You know what I mean? Like, after that, it was like I had to earn my respect or some type of way, And a lot of y'all, if y'all don't know, bro, them Bloods in general is just wild. You feel me? But the ones in jail, bro, them boys, they just be tripping, bro. Them folk just be tripping about nothing. I'm talking about they just want to fight. They want to steal your stuff. They want to just do certain stuff, But it just so happened this guy, he wasn't old, but he was an older head to the Bloods in there. Like, he might have been like 30 or something. You get what I'm saying? Like, all the other Bloods in there was 18, 19, 20, 21, 25 at the most. You get what I'm saying? So he was like the big dog in there. He had a very level head. And after that, bro, we just talked. I got up on my bunk. He got down there on his bunk. And we just talked, bro. He opened up about his case. He opened up about his daughter. He opened up about his wife, everything. He had a wife and all that. This wasn't his first time getting locked up. He told me about the other times he got locked up. I shared with him a lot of personal stuff that I had going on. My mama. We ended up, bro, before I left that jail, fool, Shawty knew all my business and I knew all his business. Even when my mama came to visit, bro, he knew her by name, fool. He'll come to the window when I'm up there in visitation. He'll come to the window and be like, "Hey, Miss V," you know what I'm saying? He'll just really speak to her. We ended up getting cool, bro, and that helped me a lot along the way. So fast forward, bro. A guy, he ends up. Mind you, remember I told y'all my cellmate, he know everything about me at this point. He know my brother, he know my case, he know everything, right? So this guy ends up coming into the pod and he got his eye just bulging out his head. You know what I'm saying? He got his mat, he carrying his mat on in and all that like that. I was just coming out of my cell, right? Because he was coming in as rotation was starting. So I'm just coming out of my cell, I do my usual. I don't really mess with nobody. I might work out a little bit, but I went and I just sat down and watched TV, by my little junkie friend. You know what I'm saying? I stayed out the mix, fool. I just minded my business, or tried to at least, but we gonna get to that. You know what I'm saying? Cause you can't, bro, it don't matter how much you mind your business, bro. If you one of them people in the jail, bro, somebody gonna try you, But check it. So this guy walks in and his face, like half of his face is swole. His eye dang near coming out of his socket, bro. And he walks in there and he put all his stuff up. He just so happened to be on our bottom row. He's replacing the guy that ended up getting beat up, the blood guy, the young guy. So so the junkie, he done got another cellmate, you know what I'm saying? He mad about that. He don't want no cellmate. He don't want no friends. You know what I'm saying? He want to just be in there on a free ride. That's it. So he watching him, everybody watching him go in the junkie cell, and the junkie looking at me like, he irritated about it. I'm like, hey, it is what it is, bro. This jail, fool. Like, this how I go. So he walks in there, he puts all his stuff up, and he comes out for rotation, closes his door. We all out for rotation, and he ends up sitting at a table where my bunkmate was sitting at. Me and my bunkmate, we kicked it inside the cell, but for the most part, you know, he had so much going on outside in the day room. I ain't really just kick it with him outside in the day room. You know, I kind of minded my business, like I told you. Like he hung with all his bloods, and he was doing a whole bunch of politicking and all that from to other pods and stuff, working his moves and stuff like that on the phone or whatever. And I just did my thing. So my bunkmate was sitting at another table with a whole bunch of his blood folks. So the guy, he sits at the table, bruh, and they basically asking him questions like, where you come from, how you get here. You know, them bloods just be on that. You know, they trying to figure out if you claiming something. They trying to figure out just what going on. You know, it just so happened my cellmate was the biggest blood, so I didn't get the same scrutiny when I first came in there. Crazy, right? That just be God on everything. So, and that's another thing too, bro. Your intent is everything, bro. You know, if you go anywhere with the intent on being malice or being any type of way, then that's the type of energy you gonna get back. Your intent leads your energy, fool. You know, that's some game for the young niggas, for the old guys, for whoever. You feel me? Just make sure your intent is always pure, and you always gonna end up in a good situation, fool. On everything. Even if it feel like you in a bad situation, you gonna end up in a good situation. So or that bad situation is gonna be the best it can be for you. You know, it's gonna mold itself to your intentions, straight up. So he's sitting there talking to all the bloods, and he ends up describing. They ask him, they say, "Hey, well, who did this to you? Like, you got jumped or something?" And he ends up telling them straight up, like, "Nah, this guy did this to me. His name was this, that. You know, just giving them the whole rundown and why it even happened, right?" So so my cellmate, he like, "Hey, Lil J, come over here." You know what I'm saying? So, cause they over there talking to Buddy. So I'm like, "All right, what's up?" I get over there. My cellmate like, "Bro, ain't your brother named Chop?" I'm like, "Yeah." My cellmate like, "Hey, tell him what you just told us." He said, "Bro, it's a guy on the other side of the jail named Chop, bro, that's beating up everybody because he said he trying to get to his brother." On everything, bro. Listen, my brother told me this when we first got locked up. I don't remember know if I mentioned it, but he told me this straight up. They're separating us, and you know, we're going upstairs. He telling me, he like, "Bro, I'ma get to wherever you at, fool. Straight up. I don't care what it take. I'ma get to wherever you at. We not gonna do this alone." And I'm like, "All right, bet. You know, I ain't tripping." So I'm like, "What's his name?" He like, "Bro, his name Chop." So I'm like, "He light skinned?" He like, "Yeah." I'm like, "He got tattoos and all?" I'm just describing him. And he like, "Yeah." And my cellmate looked at me and looked at and looked at Buddy and said, "Bro, that's his brother." He said, "Oh my God. He trying to get to you?" I'm like, "Yeah, fool, that gotta be Chop, bro. He told me he was trying to get up here and he was gonna fight his way up here if he had to, you know, when we got locked up." He said, "Bro, man, listen, I don't want no problems, fool. I don't want no problems. That like I don't want no trouble. I'm just sitting here trying to do my time. We got into a slick little argument down there. That's all it was. You know, I don't want no issues with you or him." He just really started copping pleas, bro. And I'm like, wow, like, Buddy, really, bro, really on the way. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, fool. Man, fast forward, right? He copping all these pleas and all that. I'm like, "Bro, I ain't tripping, you know?" So after that, of course, all these bloods, they looking at me like, wow, like, first of all, that's real. And on top of that, like, his brother might really be a problem. You get what I'm saying? Cause he is on everything. Like, if y'all know Chop, then if anybody out here looking at this know Shouted, then you know what's going on. You feel me? So fast forward, right? He goes into his cell, and me and my cellmate, we going in our cell, you know, our rotation over, the day over with for the most part. And he talking to me, and you know, we just having regular conversation. He asking me about my brother and all that like that. And the next morning, we get up for rotation, and this guy done kited himself out, bro. The junkie, he like, "Yeah, he left last night, you know, while we was asleep." Come to find out, bro, he didn't want to be in the same pod as me because he had got into it with my brother and he just not sure what might happen or what I might do. And I'm like, I ain't finna do nothing to you, cuz. That's what I'm thinking, cuz I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to do my time. You feel me? Like, I don't want no issue with nobody in here. But if it gotta be that, I'm not just gonna back down, like we in jail, you know what I mean? Like, we ain't nothing else to do. Ain't no running, ain't none of that. I'm definitely not kiting out. Cause I number one, that's not finna be a story that's told on the street about me. And number two, my brother definitely ain't finna hear about me kiting out of nowhere for no reason. Especially if he talking about he on the way here. Imagine me kiting out of different pods and he trying to get the pod that I'm in. You feel me? Like that ain't happening. So he ended up kiting out, bro, and that same day, one of the Bloods ended up giving my cellmate a kite, right? Which so happened to be a note, right? And the note is from my brother, bro. The note says, "Hey, I'm gonna be up there this week." He like, bro, I'm handling business. I'm gonna be up there this week, bro. I promise you. You feel me? It was just that simple. And my cellmate looked at me and I looked at him and it was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? On everything, fool, like shouted on the way, and he wasn't lying. Man, it probably maybe 3-4 days later, my cellmate, he just so happened to do trustee sometime. And not necessarily trustee, but sometimes if you clean the day room, they'll let you stay out in another role's rotation. So that's what he was doing one day. So he came to the door one day when I was still in my cell because he was out on top rotation because he had cleaned the pod right before. And he knocked on the door and he like, "Hey, look." So I come to the door, bro, and my brother is in front of the pod, bro. Like, yeah, I'm out here. You feel me? They ended up putting my brother right next to the pod, next to mine, bro. So it's like I'm in this pod, he in this pod. Only a wall is standing between us at this point. And if y'all remember, I told y'all it's a door between all of those walls. Being that he was in the pod right next to ours, it's a door right there. So as soon as I got out the pod, I hit the doorbell, bro. On that door basically means I twist the doorknob real hard. He was on top rotation though, so he ended up finessing. Well, somebody came to the doorknob and I told him like, "Hey, bro, this Chop brother, ask him if is everything good and all that like that, He ended up finessing his way out of the top row, bro, and coming to the door, and we kicked it right there for like an hour. He wasn't even supposed to be out, bro. He ended up telling the CO or something that it was an emergency and ended up finessing and staying out for the rest of the rotation just to kick it with me, bro. Straight up, fool, on everything. And this is when everything got real, bro, because that wasn't the first or the last person that Shouty ended up beating up. You feel me? Man, when Cuz got to the 7th floor, when he got to the pod next to ours, it was like me and him against everybody. I wasn't even tripping about nothing. I wasn't tripping about nothing at all, because it was times where folk was scared that Shouty was gonna run in my pod or vice versa if there was an issue. That's how click tight we was. We man, listen. Hey man, drop part 10 in the comments, man. And I'm gonna tell y'all about the time when he actually did, cause he wasn't there for longer than 2 weeks before he ended up beating somebody else up, bro. And I gotta tell y'all how that goes. He ended up falling in my space and it just got real. But listen, y'all drop part 10 in the comments and I'm gonna give y'all that, you know what I'm saying? On everything, fool. Listen, bro, these stories be kind of long. Somebody did comment that I should drop all of them in one video and drop them the same day, but I ain't gonna lie to you, fool. Like, that'll be a long video, and on top of that, I'm still building this platform. So if y'all can hype these videos up, if y'all can like them as much as possible and all that like that, then I can get to that point, because right now, we doing good, but to drop everything in one day, that would be taking a lot away from what I'm trying to build. You know what I mean? So, man, tell your friends about me. You know what I'm saying? Hype me up, man. Comment, share, man. And make sure y'all like these videos as much as possible because that's going to throw me in the algorithm. But, man, drop part 10 in the comments and I got y'all. And make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. And until next time, man, 100.